Welcome back to the Adventitious Adventures podcast. If you're tuning in for the first time, feel free to go back and watch the other episodes so you can kind of know what's going on, the storyline, who the characters are, that kind of thing. If you're returning, thanks so much for being here. Depending on when you're listening to this, welcome to 2026. Hopefully it'll be a good year for everyone. As I've always said, you can find all these episodes on YouTube as well as Spotify. And also, you can find the written episodes on WordPress.com at Adventitious Adventures as well. So feel free to go check that out if you'd rather read rather than watch anything or listen. Last episode, the party was surprised to find themselves the new caretakers of a young dragon, something that no one had seen in their world or beyond. They also found themselves hunted by mercenaries looking to reclaim their new cargo. After defeating the men, the party set off into the mountains in search of a hidden city that may have some answers for them. Along the way, they encountered different groups of people, including a monk who was traveling to a monastery, the leader of which Inara seemed to share some history with. Will the party make it to the hidden city, or will they succumb to the difficulties along the way? The scene opens with the party struggling through the snow of the mountains after having to leave the wagon behind. They're making slow time because of the cold, falling snow and small rocks that they are forced to navigate around. There are also the issues of not everyone having suitable weather gear and Chop's small stature. After giving some grief to Saren about wearing a shirt under his armor, Malvis picks Chop up and puts her on his shoulders to help their travels, much to her chagrin. Making their way further along, they begin to see smoke coming from the right in the distance. Hoping that it could be coming from a place they could find shelter and warmth, Mitchum goes ahead to scout out the area. However, before he can get farther than a few paces away, he trips into a hole in the ground, obscured by the snow, and falls, cracking his ankle. Inara comes and helps splint the injury before going to investigate the smoke herself. As she draws closer, the ground seems to be strange. Not as much snow and a different texture from the area around it. There's also a very apparent sound of creaking. Suddenly the ground gives way, sending Inara down towards a bed of spikes. She barely manages to grab the edge of the ground above as the snow and dirt fall around her. She tries to swing back up, but the snow slides once again, forcing her to grab the side even more precariously. Realizing there's no way she is getting out of there on her own, Inara calls out for help. A moment later, Malvis, Mitchum, and Saren come to drag her out, after Saren makes a comment about learning a lesson. Now that they're all gathered, the party looks around, discovering that the smoke they had been seeing apparently was coming from a large fire pit ringed by a spike-filled trench. Mitchum looks around for anyone that could be residing there, eventually checking behind some large rocks. He sees something red that is slightly swaying, as if fabric in the wind, but it seems much too large to be man-sized. Telling the rest of the party what he has discovered, they decide to make a quiet retreat from the area, but are stopped as a large boulder nearby starts to move. Rising to its full height, the boulder is revealed to be a frost giant, who immediately begins to aggressively make noises and gestures with his battle axe. As the party tries to calm the large creature and tell it they are not there to hurt or disturb anything, they are joined by another imposing figure, that of a fire giant. He'd been drawn to the commotion and surprisingly is able to communicate with them in broken common. The fire giant tells them that they had let others come, humans, who hurt them. After assuring them that they are not human and that they have no reason to hurt them, the party tells the giants that they are just trying to pass through in search of a nearby village. This seems to lighten the mood even more, as the fire giant explains that they know of the village and that the people are very nice and good to them. With this knowledge, the giants tell them to leave and carry on to the village, which the party is happy to do. Continuing on, a short while later, the outskirts of a village come into view. As the party draws closer, they see the skeletal form of a dragon and some children playing around it. Seeing them, the children run away into the village, and a few minutes later a bell tolls out, seemingly announcing their presence. The party is approached by a group of about 10 people dressed in purple robes, whose stitching resembles a dragon. Lining themselves into 2 rows, a half-orc woman approaches the party and asks if they are lost. She explains that they are cautious of outsiders, and so must ask why they are there. The party answers that they've been sent to find the village, and the woman replies that in order to enter they must give up their weapons. They agree, and a kobold comes to gather them as the half-orc woman welcomes the party to Torquedbine. As the woman is guiding them into the village, they realize it is much bigger than they realized, rivaling the size of some larger cities throughout the realm. The party asks if there is a place to stay, and the woman nods before continuing. Passing through the city, it is obvious that there is a warm and tranquil quality here. Mitram asks about what significance the purple robes have, and the woman tells them that is to signify those who are keepers of the dragon spirit. She goes on to explain that the last dragon passed here, and now they worship her spirit. They hope and believe that one day there will be a new era of magic and dragons once more. Passing by more of the city, including a few groups of children learning, the party realizes they have seen many races of people here, but they have not seen any humans, which is slightly odd given the size. They ask if they know about anything happening in the world beyond their city borders, and the woman responds by telling them that this is a peaceful city, and they wish to keep it that way. The people here are nervous of outsiders because of the power of the dragon spirit is strong. It protects those here, but is also a force that has drawn outsiders to conquer, and there seems to always be some group of peoples trying to acquire the power to put others down. She tells them that the last to come here was a family about a year ago, but since then they have had no news of the outside world. Eventually the party is led to a row of small cabin-like houses. Inside they are just barely large enough to house a bed, a small fireplace, and a bathroom. The half-orc woman tells them to pick a cabin and rest, and that she'll be back in about an hour to collect them for dinner. The party goes off to their decided cabins and makes the most of it. Inara curling up in pillows and blankets of the bed, happy to be not traveling anymore, and Mitram releasing Charmander from his pack and letting her know where they are and what they are doing. In the midst of this needed rest, Malvus hears a knock on the door. Opening it, he finds a small bird person, a Kenku, standing outside. After a moment of misunderstanding, the Kenku is able to clarify that he wishes for Malvus to follow him to pray to the dragon spirit. Malvus agrees and follows the small birdman to a temple located inside the head of the dragon skeleton they had seen. As he enters, he sees 3 people standing in front of an altar-like table. They are of different races, a dwarf, an elf, and a dragonborn, and appear all to be female. As Malvus approaches, they address him, telling him that they sense they should meet with him first. They ask to hear more about him, and Malvus begins telling about his family and talking non-stop. The 3 women stop him eventually, saying that they saw a great void in him, before asking about his companions and how he fits with them. Malvus again tells them a story, this time about how the party came together, starting with how a woman tasked them with finding her cat, and so they broke into a home, but he stayed outside with Inara and bonded, finally revealing how they had found the princess. The women stop him there, asking him what drives him. Why would he travel with the group and give up his magic? They tell him they sense a longing in him before persuading him to enter a door nearby. As he goes to it, he can see an inscription written in many languages, upon it saying, "This is a holy place, enter with a pure heart." With a slight hesitation at the words, he enters the room beyond. Passing through the door, Malvus finds another altar inside. Going closer, there seems to be an inscription written in as many languages as the door was. Finding a language he understands, he sees that it states, "Say a prayer and the dragon spirit will hear." Deciding to follow the inscription, he is surprised as an energy enters, revealing itself as a dragon. The spirit tells him that it saw that he is missing the magic he once possessed, and asks if he would like to have it return. Malvus agrees, and the dragon spirit answers that he will gain power once again, but he will not but he will still need to serve someone in order to have it, asking if he knows who they mean. When Malvis comes up blank, the dragon spirit tells him it wants him to serve himself. After a little while, Inara hears a knock on her door. Opening it, she finds the Kenku waiting, who tell her to follow him, leading her to the temple. She greets the three women inside, and they begin to inquire who she is. Being used to vague and mystical questions because of her training, she answers that she is not sure, and still figuring that out because she has changed. They then ask who she wants to be. Inara once again answers that she's not sure. She thought that she knew, being proud of being tasked with the trial to become their monastic leader, but now after all that has happened, she is confused. Seeming to accept her answers, the women urge her to proceed through the door to the dragon spirit. Inside the smaller room, Inara finds the inscribed altar. Unsure how to proceed, she half says a prayer, just as an energy surrounds her, forming itself into a large dragon. It asks her if a good friend is someone who leaves their friends and runs. She says no, feeling nervous and trying to explain herself. Instead of more criticism, however, the dragon spirit reveals to her a staff, telling her it is capable of producing fireball once per day to help her protect herself and her friends. The dragon spirit also tells her she needs to believe in herself and her power, that she is stronger than she realizes, that those she travels with appreciate her, and some, perhaps, may even feel something much stronger. As Saren is spending his downtime in the way he chooses, he also hears a knock on his door. Opening it, he sees the little Kenku standing there ready for him to follow. Saren questions the Birdman about where he is taking him, but does eventually go with him. Entering the temple, he meets with the three women, who ask him about who he serves. Saren tells them about his deity, Tempest, for a while before they encourage him to enter through the door to the dragon spirit as well. Heading into the room, Saren sees the inscribed altar and draws close. Saying a prayer, he is also greeted by the energy form of the dragon spirit. It inquires why he follows his deity, Tempest. Saren answers, only to have the dragon spirit ask him if he likes protecting or fighting more. He tells that he takes more from fighting, which the spirit seems to take to heart. After a moment, the dragon spirit surrounds him, bestowing him with a power that lets him heal as much damage as he deals once per day. While all of this is happening, Mitram is still talking to Charmander in his own little cabin. Charmander asks him what he wants from her, and Mitram tells her that he wants her to grow up and fulfill her potential. A knock on the door stops their conversation, and Mitram tells Charmander to hide, which she does. Opening the door, he finds the little Kenku, who bids him to follow, which he does. Reaching the temple, Mitram goes inside and greets the three women. They ask him his name, and he tells it, before they comment that they sense a warmth in him, and ask why he chooses a path of good. Mitram doesn't say much to that, but answers that it is just what seems right. The women nod, admitting that they already believe him to be worthy, but still encourage him to go through the door to the dragon spirit. When he enters the room, he is drawn to the altar just as the others. Moments later, the dragon spirit appears as before, telling Mitram that he is a good soul, and asking why he has chosen good. Mitram answers that he does not believe there is any other option. Seemingly satisfied, the dragon spirit blesses him, giving him the power that once a day an arrow he sends out would be imbued with the power of fireball. It also gives him a magical red and white sphere that could be used to hide Charmander. Before he is dismissed, however, the dragon spirit also reveals to him about someone Mitram knows, who is in trouble and needs his help. Once Mitram returns to his small cabin, more people dressed in robes come to the party, handing them back their weapons. The half-orc woman returns in front of them and lets them know that they have been judged worthy and are invited to join the city in a feast. The party follows her to the middle of the city, taking in the atmosphere around them. Sitting at a table, they are brought food by some of the people in purple robes, mostly produce that has been grown in the city itself. Chop questions where the meat is, before the half-orc woman stands before those gathered, offering thanks to the dragon spirit. As the party is enjoying the food and drink, a dwarven man comes and sits with them, saying that he can tell they are new here. They ask him about himself, and he tells them it has been 3 years since he left the north. He seems very proud of where he comes from and the king and queen. He asks the party for any news, and Mistrim hesitantly tells them about all of the unrest in the north. The dwarf seems to be affected by his tale, and laments that he wishes to go and help, but that the people of this city are very cautious of anyone leaving, which is why he has been here for so long. He asks what the king and queen have been doing in all of this, and after some nervous glances, the party admits that the queen is dead, and Malvis actually admits to the man that it was he who killed her. Even though they try to argue that it was in the end for everyone's good, this admission seems to incite the man, and he pulls out a dagger, rushing at Malvis. To his credit, Malvis attempts to defend himself, but misses with the sword, instead just hitting the man. However, this seems to not have much of an effect. Nara steps up to the man, trying to persuade him to stop, but choosing the absolute wrong words, and just further making the man mad. The dwarf attacks with more fury than before, applying something to his dagger before rushing once more towards Malvis. In only a couple of swings of his dagger, Malvis is hurt badly, and forced to retreat over a table and behind the rest of the party. They do support their comrade, with Mitchum trying to persuade the man to back down, and Inara going full force into a brawl with him. Eventually, tired of everything, Saren casts Guiding Bolt at the man, finally knocking him to the ground. Before he has a chance to get up, mages surround the man, subduing him with a pale light. The half-orc woman comes and tells them to take him away, and assures the party that they all saw what happened, and that they were not in the wrong, before urging others to give healing to Malvis. The chaos finally starting to abate, a figure in a purple robe approaches, telling Chop it is her turn to meet with the dragon spirit. This was one of my favorite episodes that we actually had, which is weird because we had a ton, but it was a really cool way of how we did everything. We got to this town, and then, we all had to go and be questioned, basically, or trialed against this spirit. And I thought it was really cool how we did it, because we didn't actually know at the time what each other was saying or what was happening. Our DM actually took us one by one into a different channel, because we play on Discord, and then had these conversations or had what happened while we were there alone. So we all didn't know what was happening. The rest of us, dicked around during this time. But it was a really cool concept of, we really didn't know, and the only reason I knew at the end was because I keep a log of everything. I write, obviously, all of the stuffs down, so I eventually had to ask my husband, who's the DM, what actually went on in each of their stories. But I actually did wait and ask him after the next episode that we had, where we actually revealed kind of to each other what sort of things happened, so that I kind of didn't go into the next episode knowing exactly what happened with each other. Everybody else too. So that was a cool way of doing it, I think, because no matter what we said in those, instances, it was only ours. It was ours alone to know. I think it was also fun too, because it was just a different kind of setting and with different rules. This city is kind of cool. We only stay there a short amount of time, but the concept of this city, that's lost in the middle of the mountains, and they don't want anyone in, they don't want anyone out, is kind of an interesting concept. I kind of do wish that we would have shared or spent more time in this city than we do, but we kind of get kicked out from what I remember. Maybe that's wrong. We'll learn next time. But yeah, we kind of, are forced to leave by the council eventually. And some things that are revealed, actually, I think, in the next part too. Next time, in the next episode, we, leave the city and travel away from it. And we finally get to see a little bit of more backstory with Inara, actually, because they will be stopped in the mountains as they're finding their way back. out to their new location of where they're headed by some interesting people who lead them, actually, to Marcus. That'll be an exciting development to see this relationship between, we're not sure what happened, but this relationship of somebody from the past who may or may not have a great opinion of their used-to-be comrade. So that's what we have to expect for next time. But until then, roll well, and I will see you then.